You know, successful people knew they were going to be successful from the beginning. They don't even share their secrets because I'm not so certain they know it. But there is a protocol in play, and it's narcissism. I got a notion to say it didn't feel right. Got an answer to your story today. But I'm here to pretty much indulge in the idea of narcissism. Because I know 100%, that was the secret of our success. Billy and the cowboy, fucking cowboy. We're not talking theys and thems, we're saying our. Okay? So the idea behind it is, Elon Musk says it's all a simulation. And he gives like a 99 billion chance to 1. And he's not wrong. We're going to go through a journey here, my dreamers and my roadies, because you deserve at least this from me. And I don't want to be making a video right now, but I feel like I'm drawn to and I have to. We're going to go down a journey of athletes, politicians, wealthy people, and the lie behind it all. Did you know? Reflect on this comment later. Make a personal note. The biggest fear of these CEOs, when they did a study on it, of these Fortune 500 companies, it wasn't public speaking. They were afraid of being figured out. And it was because they felt as if they didn't deserve the position they are. But I'm going to tell you a story, and then we'll get back on path. Most people, and if you're a doctor watching this, better yet a surgeon, most people have this sense that, they do a good job, they know more than most, but they still have this uncertainty. Like they know they don't know everything, and they feel as if they should, whether you're a hairdresser with color, chemistry, or a CEO of Apple, but and it's because of the way they got there, Now you'd say, how does being a narcissist, why would somebody like that, why are we talking about people like that and then talking about people with uncertainty? We're going to break that down now. People will say that individuals celebrate publicly what they practiced in private for years. This is not incorrect. But let's just say they're a golfer and they have a golf mat. They hit 20,000 balls like me a winter. I do that because my belief in myself that I could be this great golfer pushes me to do things like that to become this great golfer. But when reality strikes, back to the simulation of Elon, the truth is every ball I hit isn't, notice what I said, I hit 20,000 balls, isn't making me better. It's just not. And that's fact. We'll get into dreams in a minute to support this theory. What it's doing is telling me in my mind that I'm better because I did this. I hit these 20,000 balls. And if I truly believe it enough, I feel I have an unreasonable amount of value, like someone that's narcissistic would be interpreted as having if they were vocal about it. What it does is it improves my game. The simulation is being programmed. But it wasn't the balls being struck. It was what it did in my conscious mind that transferred to my subconscious. And reality look at this as everybody we know, everyone in the world that we see on TV has their own thing happening. We could say we don't control any of that. But I believe we're more complex than that. I believe everything happening, and this sounds narcissistic, is happening because of me. And the more I believe this, the more doors open in the way I want them to. The more I feel shit's gonna be bad, it generally always is. It's interpretation. So this is why positive thought's important. So let's explain that theory. When you go to bed and you dream, let's say you're singing karaoke, and you look into the audience and you see an old friend, and he's laughing at you and making fun of your singing, even though you've never witnessed that when he was awake. That dream, and he's whispering to maybe your girlfriend or your wife or your kids or whoever, that dream, I promise your old friend Joe wasn't in it, making his own decisions. That was your mind creating Joe, and from a subconscious level, because you feel consciously Joe doesn't like your singing, creating Joe, and the subjective conscious is making Joe say these things, but Joe doesn't exist. Either does your girlfriend or the person he's talking to. There's 100 people in that room. You're looking at them all. And you see the walls. Everything is exactly the way it is when you go to that place to do karaoke when you're awake. All that's being created. And everybody is you. Your version of them. To the hair, one hair on their head. You create all that in your mind. They're all saying and acting the way you consciously programmed your subconscious. It's a simulation. I would argue that that's exactly what happens when you're hitting golf balls consciously. I would say that could even extend to your neighbor who walks by. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. But I can promise you this, everything that happened when your neighbor walks by, if your neighbor's even a real person, Elon would say it's a simulation. But I promise that neighbor doesn't see anything the same way as you, even if he agrees on what you're saying. That leads us to public narcissism versus internal. These athletes, there's athletes that don't lift weights and they started 20 years late and then they became pro golfers, musicians, that never went on a interview to be discovered, and they're found in some shitty ass bar that no one goes to. That's all this narcissistic behavioral trait that you think and you believe in such a twisted, distorted way, and it's all of positivity about yourself that it actually manifests in reality and is projected to the world. And I think the worst part about that narcissism is we think all that stuff around us exists, but it's all something we created. Even if that person your neighbor walking down the street exists, that does not mean that they are walking down your street. They could be walking down a different street. That is just our world we created. And even if they are, it doesn't matter. You would say, well, you could believe in, be narcissistic and believe you're going to be a great basketball player, but you're only 5'2" or something. That's just impossible. If you have enough unreasonable belief in yourself, if it's enough, and you believe it enough, you can rise to that occasion, but you have to have enough belief to offset the derogatory side of being. We're just way too short. And then to think you can dunk a basketball is even more insane. You know? However, we have Spud Webb. You know? And you would say these people are not narcissistic. You know, we would reference someone like Donald Trump. All wealthy people are narcissistic. All people that have wealthy gifts of athleticism, creativity, they're narcissistic. But they're internally that. Like, and what I mean is not all of them like Trump. Trump is very open about it. But with like maybe using athletes or musicians, what they do differently is externally they know how to behave. So they give to charity, they're sweet, they don't talk about their money and their gifts, and they're humble. But always remember, sometimes when you're dating a girl and you meet her grandma for the first time, even though she looks kind of like the crypt keeper, you probably say sweet things like, oh, it was so nice to meet you, your grandma's so sweet, she's a beautiful old lady, when really you're thinking that bitch is gonna die any minute and she looks like the crypt keeper. We have layers, and that's all that is with athletes and charitable and being good people. They just know how to act. But do you really know anyone? The point being is when you're thinking negatively, be careful, because that is changing your future. And if you don't believe me, get mad about something and try to stay mad for 3 or 4 hours about it, even though you're willing to let it go. And then go back that 3 hours and you'll see your future was changed significantly. And that, if it happens enough, it can be contagious. It can become habit. I've been fighting it. But I know I'm always at my best when my perspective is good. And I know I'm gonna fucking win. Because that's all I do is win. You think you're fucking mad because I'm fucking getting money? Because all I'm doing is fucking and getting money. You know? You have to have that perspective. You want to be great at something. You might not be fucking... You want to do unreasonable things that are amazing. You probably need to have an unreasonable belief system in yourself. By definition, it's narcissism. And if you don't accomplish it, it's probably because you weren't deep enough into it. So that's the only way it can stop. You had doubt. I think you got the point, but there is no extremely successful person that got there without some kind of a belief system in themselves that, constituted greatness. It was almost like this little fire that burned inside you since you were born, knowing you would do great things. And the minute you found out what it was, it manifested, it became true, or it is becoming true. I don't think it's a surprise that we found XRP. And I know I'm just talking really to myself. All you people listening, are just people I'm creating in my universe, just like I created XRP in my universe. No one else in the world that isn't connected to me and my, as Elon would say, simulation, I would say my dream. No one else might even know about that. But the people I've created in my dream do. And my dream doesn't end with I don't even want to say it, it ends with, well, I can. It doesn't end with a nightmare. It ends with fucking everything. Everything I want to happen. To my kids, to my wife, to everybody. Which are all people I may have created in my head. But that's my dream. That's how it ends. And that's how your dream ends.